Question is, how much do I want to do in the constructor? There's always a trade-off. So on one hand, you want the thing to be done after constructing it, but on the other hand, if the constructor becomes very large, then yeah, I don't know. I get a feeling that maybe in this case it might be better, I don't know, if you can use a default constructor for this thing and then do the initialization afterwards. But I think that if you do that, then any initialization that you do afterwards should be optional. Like either you create a thing and then you either add something or you don't. But yeah, in this case, this class has members that need to be initialized, period. So it's not really optional then. It's like not optional at all. Or is it? Kind of little bit like a per member initialization. That would be at least structured then. To put all initialization related to a single member of tinywl server in a function to have stuff together, and then call all of those little functions from a bigger initialization function, or even from the constructor. Which then definitely means that all those members are default constructed first. I think I would like to head that in that direction, which means that I do need a default constructor for this thing. Currently I have that, and it is calling register events. But yeah, that does say this is a member, and this only registered events. But the member itself also must be initialized. So we have just 1, 2, 3, 4 of those here. So maybe I should split this thing up in, say, in 4 functions, 4 member functions, and then I'll just call them initialize backend or something. Initialize backend. initialize XDG shell. Initialize wlr cursor. No, wait a minute. Cursor. Initialize seed. Then now for now let's just call that then from the constructor. So now the code is now doing exactly the same as before, but I call 4 functions instead of 1, which then do sequentially the same code as before. However, now they are no longer called register events, so now I can do add additional initialization of this member and that member, etc. So for example, if I look at main, hopefully the order isn't that very important, but okay, this thing start with display. Actually, I think that might be important. Certainly if I use it afterwards. Yeah, see, the display must be done first and then we can do the back end because the display is being passed here. So the display must be initialized first, and it seems that this is all of it. So what if I just move this now to where we came from? Put that in, oh, yet another function. Void initialize display. And that then must be done before the backend. But it's okay that this order is important because these functions are private. That is, they can only be called from a member function, like the constructor, and then I just keep that order. If they would have been called from main, that would be more dubious, I think, because then you might start calling them in the wrong order. Okay, so let's go back to main for the next one. Now it looks like that this is the whole thing for initializing the backend. So let's move that. And yeah, I can put that just here. It is a C function, but I'm passing null pointer anyway. That should work. I don't like to use null. It's too C-ish. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you should pass a null as because it is a C function. But then what do I test it with? You know, what is returned? Let's just use null pointer. I think it's more about what the compiler understands, and the compiler, this is compiled by a C++ compiler, so therefore we probably should use a null pointer. Both will work obviously, but still. Okay, well, I can't do the return 1 here, and instead always also, I mean, have to start to use my own error reporting stuff. Why can I not remember anything these days? So if this fails, then I want to throw an alert. I just use exceptions, but wrapped in my own library stuff. So that is, I think, throw alert. It gets a color. Good. And then I have many of these alerts. I've got which. Well, I have alerts that add, for example, the standard error string or something. I don't think we have an error here. Just one single string. So not more information about what went wrong. This is, yeah, that is inside the library. You can't change that. Here's logging stuff. Good. I should have been throwing the error from here, obviously. Then you get an error that actually describes what's going wrong. Can't do that. Or maybe you could hijack the wlr log and then read the error back at the moment that I detect it in my code, and then use that to throw my error. But it's more something for a future. Right now we're just, yeah, too sophisticated. Let's keep it simple. So I'm gonna throw alert. Say example here. Please let it be an example. No examples there. Example code, yay. Yeah, so you just use strings as keys, and then arguments, optionally, which all of which is written to an O string. So in this case, we don't have anything. We just have the top one, just a string. But then I use the whole string as a key. But that has to do with translation to other languages. So that's theoretically okay. Just do everything in English and then have a database that translates stuff. Not that I will ever do that, but let's capitalize this at the very least. I think I made an exception for error strings, so that they don't have a dot at the end. Normally everything must be in English and just this looks like horror, because really, the whole idea behind this system is that you get what is wrong. So just, oh, sorry, it failed. Yeah, the first question is then why, and that information should be here, but don't have it. At least it was written to the error log apparently, but okay. Let's do the next one for now. So I'm going to go back to main. Slowly I'm changing everything to my own coding style, as it were. I like my parentheses, braces to be in the same column. Whoops. Printf. Oh, yeah, but on the other hand, you know, even that is dubious. I just need to rewrite everything. I'm so done. I see this and I'm tempted to immediately change it to more C++ code-ish, but yeah, really the whole handling of options must be done somewhere else, which then will print the usage, so might as well leave it for now like this. Okay, initialization of the renderer. There's no comment here. What is this doing? Renderer init display. Now, I think that belongs to the previous thing, right? Just initialization of the renderer. So I'm gonna move this to after the backend. I don't know if it's necessary really, but that was the order we had. Initialize renderer. Okay, that's because it's time to put an underscore after it. Yes. And excuse me, more done. Initialize renderer, initialize backend. Put it in that order. And then we add an underscore here. And then we look for renderer without underscores. Yeah, this is a main again. We are going to move this anyway. That's already. So next one is then the allocator. Great. Allocator does not have an underscore, or did I add that before? Did not add it. Yeah, the next one apparently is nobody knows what is this about. This creates some hands-off wlroots interfaces. The compositor is necessary. Compositor create. I don't know. It's not assigning anything. Subcompositor create. Data device manager creates a lot of stuff. Sure, it seems a bit general initialization, especially the remark that they can change it. It's not related to a single member either, except that it uses the display. What all? I'm inclined to split this up in 3 member functions. We just call, let's say, create compositor or something like that. We can just call this function. I'm gonna leave this one for now. This one at least assigns something. Output layout. Create is another create. Surely we can do this before we do that, right? The order is super unclear. The output layout is that. We are going to called add allocator. Right. What is this? Totally all list init server outputs. Has to do with outputs. Configure a listener to be notified when new outputs are available on the backend. Oh, this just initializes that list. The listener is somewhere else, I think. I should have done the listener already, but what is that then called? Do I still have outputs here? Apparently. It should be this thing. Outputs. Doesn't seem to be used. Oops. So I have a list that is initialized, but oh yeah, insert. So the list must be initialized before we insert it. In the end, I'm probably going to replace that. Although, yeah, this is a local list. So why would I use it? Why would I use a C list? So this belongs to the backend new output thing. So it's basically a part of backend, I think then. Yep. So I'm gonna remove this and put it in the backend initialization. Initialize the backend. So that's when new input is being called. I thought, or new outputs. Okay, so calls to backend new output. Add the new output to this list. So therefore we have to configure it. How long does this go on? So much work. Oh, that's the end. Oh, still. Still a lot. But that's the whole application. So starting to reach the end. Okay, we have a scene init here. Let's call that initialize scene. Okay, so take thingies behind it, which now makes it a lot more clear why that is necessary, because there is no server in front of it anymore. So the scene underscore already exists. Okay. Server dot scene. Right, and then I need to add an initialize scene to the constructor. Well, this is clearly the XDG shell that is being initialized here. Finally, I would say. So initialize XDG shell. We already have that. Pretty sure the thing is called wlr shell underscore, and then we create that from the wl display, and then we register events for the same thing. Yes. I should set a marker in main, I think. It gets tiresome. So how about a marker called M? The next one is cursor related. This is also cursor. Yeah, then this thing is the WLR cursor underscore, right? And what is the output? Output layout? But it just doesn't have a color yet, I think. Server manager should get an underscore thingy. Outputs to basically everything. Maybe it's time to just do everything. Already. Cursor mode. Yes. And then the initialize cursor apparently comes. Oh, they already have that called, of course. And then we jump to the marker M and we do the keyboards. I think that this is just this. Okay, I'm just curious. If I the marker was put here, if I copy this and delete it, is the marker gone? Or is the marker now here? Maybe the marker is just a line number, right? Not related to the code. What was it? What I just deleted? Damn it. Keyboards. Don't have that. Keyboards, yes. Just a list of keyboards. Let's put it here. No, it depends on where or who the hell this is using. That would be seed, isn't it? It's like saying it. It's like or it's a new input, right? Okay, so to find out where the hell something is being added to this list. Insert, yeah, serve a new keyboard, which is called from backend new input. So it's part of backend. So it should be here. Line 277. Yeah, no, that doesn't seem related to this, except of course that keyboard belongs to a seed. I do have an initialized seed. Did I not? Or not yet? Yeah, here. Let's park this here for now. Yeah, mark is not set. So it was deleted. Wow. Well, in that case, we'll put it, I guess not here, but there. The marker. I think this is the remark that I did. Yeah, this creates a seed. And then we get add a Unix socket to the Wayland display. Here we start to destroy stuff even. That of course should also be handled by the destructure. We're just going to leave the scope of this object, and then the destructor should take care of that. And in this case, we silently leave. It doesn't even print. Well, yeah, whatever. Yeah, this socket here is local. It's not part of that object. It's going to be used somewhere, I suppose. Where is it going to be used? Sockets. It's used here. And then we run it. Okay, that's the whole thing. Well, then we just all of this initialize socket or something. Wayland socket. Bing. Look how small main has become. Yeah, I don't think destroying the backend is related to the socket. It's related to that we exit main completely. So I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to throw. And then this somehow needs to end up in a destructure. And which in turn then means that this must be false by default. So that is a WLR backend default constructors. Yeah, that is just 0. So I think if I just call it like that, it's going to use this one. Still works. Now we want to destroy the display. Why not the previous exit that was in a bug, which is now fixed. If this fails, then I'm going to throw. Failed to start backend. Nobody knows why, but hey, who cares? Read the logs or something. We already dealt with this one, backend destruction, but we did not handle the display destroy. Right, so that is another thing for the destructor then. And yeah, let's do that, and they should more or less be in the opposite order of this one. So backend is first, and then the display. In terms of destruction. And then yeah, that must be again false immediately after construction. Let's see, this thing is what at the moment? It's just a struct, so it's not initialized. Well, now it is. Actually, the backend did work. Yeah, sorry, I already looked at that. Then we get, I don't know, where was I? Somewhere here. The wayland display environment variable to our socket, then run the startup command if requested. What is setinf? I mean, there's nothing to do with C++. I know it, but still. This is standard getinf though. Why would there not be a setinf? Interesting. This function is not required to be thread safe. Another call to getinf as well as a call to the POSIX function setinf may invalidate a pointer returned by previous. Since C++11 is this function is thread safe, calling it from multiple threads does not introduce a data race as long as no other function modifies the host environment. In particular, the POSIX functions setenv and unsetenv and putenv would introduce a data race if called without synchronization. Okay, so where's my thread safe setenv then? Nobody knows. Maybe I should have been smart and just looked for std setinf. Yeah, I have the same question. It is exactly what we just found. Yeah, okay, so apparently it does not exist, which is strange. Yeah, I have this question. that was the one. And now we need this to be a member function as well, because I need to have access to it. Why would I do that in create wlroots socket? It just doesn't make any sense. Okay, this is related to the main loop, so they should move back to yeah, no, this is just printing. Sorry, but the comment should go back to main, I think. And this should go to the constructor, I think. Let's put this thing here. Always dubious, but okay, we just talked about it at length. Looks very dubious. but it's just, this is how it was, so I'm not trying not to think about it. Yeah, what the hell is this doing? Yeah, it forks, and then the child, I guess, is executing it something. Yeah, no. And the main process is just continuing. Where's my wait PID? Stuff like that. But okay, this is an example demo thing that then tries to use as little code as possible. I guess that's the reason why they did it like that. So all of these destroyers can also be moved to the destructor. And this still I don't think it should be here anymore, because we have nothing left. Just create a server and then run it. Hell, even this should be a member function. Yes, so destruction, let's call yep, so the display is lost. And the backend before that, and then before that we get the renderer. Where the renderer is not highlighting, because let's do that. Fix that. So now the renderer must be 0 initialized. And before that we have the allocator, same thing. If allocator underscore destroy it. Cursor if wait, WLR cursor. I've noticed null it just returns anyway. Maybe these things do that too. Yeah. No reason to test that then. Can assume that this does not doing anything if there are no clients. That means that our client list must be empty, but I guess that this will be the case as well. Yeah. Apparently we do need to test the display though. Okay. Now what? Let's try putting it at the bottom of the constructor. Probably should get its own member function at some point. but might as well put it here. Guess we do that here before before actually starting something. Maybe even before creating the socket. For clients might get it in their head to connect, although we're not even running the server yet, so I don't think the order is that important. It talks about handling seeds, the blah blah blah. The seed is being done here. It has already been done. Let's see what, if you can find this. Yeah, nobody gets it. So throw alerts example. So yeah, in the end, Well, this is pretty fatal, of course. The server completely crashed. We failed to start up, or completely fatal. There's not that much more to do, I guess, than just write it to the log, like I do everywhere. wlr error. I think that there was totally C code this, of course, so there's not able to write error here. I'm going to replace the whole logging system anyway. Yeah, it's printf-like stuff. No, I'll just write it to an O string, I guess. String stream. Do I need a new line here? Probably not. Nah. I think this line here requires a special header though. I've got which here. This one. What is that one? Probably then. Yup. Exactly that one. Well, in the end anyway. I'll put it like this anyway already. But that would only be the case if I use dout to write a debug output. Currently we're using wlr log, which would also exist still without debug. But in the end, actually, it's this line here. See, that's also annoying. These three should be replaced with something inside debugging. So I'm gonna do that like this. And then without debugging, we don't print anything. Keyboards. Outputs. Why the hell is that green? Eh? Syntax highlighting bug. Green is a type. I wouldn't call this a type based on this line. Apparently the syntax highlighting thinks it is. Maybe because of the bridges or something. Or syntax rather. Hey Louis. Yeah, Mitchell, sorry. Didn't see you. How am I doing? Pain in my muscles. I have nightmares also last weeks. Server keyboards. Do I have keyboards? Do we have keyboards underscore? What the hell? Okay, nobody knows what it is. Oh, wait a minute. WLR keyboard. No, also not. Should be one of those lists. Can't find pattern. Well, it is highlighted. That's impossible. That ctext was lagging behind. Yeah. 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 We do have a server here. It's being paused. Surely we do not have access. In other words, this should have been a member function of the server. Yeah, so these are called by those. Totally has to be private, of course. The public here is because something was still accessing WL display. Maybe that's no longer the case. Very unlikely. Let's make it private now. And let's not have member variables and functions through another, but these kind of belong together. I'm just gonna move them down. Not put it here. and so on and so on. This one also. Everything now. All the static functions must become member functions. Handle key binding. Okay, that is called here, and it's pass server, but we don't do that. However, it is called from keyboard, so the server has to go in front of it. Then I can't type. Let's try it again. Server underscore. I don't have that. Yeah, but have to put this now as a public member function in this class. So let's say or I could make it private actually. Let's make it private. And then friend the thing that is calling it. And what is calling it? I've called that again. This is calling it. It's the probably has to be for declared. Keyboard. I have a top level here. That's it. Keyboards also part of a server. Hi Koto. It's slowly starting to look like a real C++. It's amazing. Trying not to touch indentation yet, because I want to maybe look at the diff with the C code at some point. Only once it really works, I'll reformat everything, I think. What's about the cursor mode is probably just, yeah, it even has already a thingy. So, okay. Need to add this. Where is it called from? Cursor mode. It's called from the server itself, so it's just a private function. Okay, now I'm confused. I guess we'll see. Suddenly I didn't know anymore what class it is. It was a server. Pretty sure of that. I'll just add it in this. Yep, it's a server. Let's add them in the order that we find them. Despite that this one needs a friend. And so we continue. No member named grabbed top level in tinywl server. Did you mean to add a thingy? Let's add a thingy here as well already. There's a really large amount of static functions still. That should all have to be changed into member functions. Okay, so to just turn absolutely everything into having an underscore at the end. If they do not already have that, scene layout. That's it. No, that should be it, right? No more new member variables below this point. And then, did I now forget something? Or? What? What? Did I not search for that? Wet. Then that is what I meant, I think. If I forgot to add the declaration of that thing, I'm still not sure. No, it's here. Oh, this is from the top level. Yeah, no problem. It's just this. We had not gotten there yet. Private, damn it. Just make a top level of friend. Yeah, top level is already on top. You can't call type ID on null pointer type. What the? But just incomplete. So maybe I can make it complete. Or is it never complete? The whole WL null pointer type is kind of something went wrong there. That's strange. Yeah, where does that come from? I must have put strict in front of it, I guess, by accident. Well, in namespace WL. Shit. There's only struct in front of something. WLR. It could still happen in one of those macros, I guess. It's also struct WLR. This is a signal name, so there can't be a null pointer. It's not a signal. Yep, there it is. This struct. So if the boost tuple thing here is a null pointer, then the struct should not be there. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if the LLM has an answer for this. Nah, BS. That's not that. No, it's not the task of this macro here. I'm just going to remove the struct and then make sure that the struct is there already for the right thing. So this is the second tuple, which comes from the second parameter of the tuple, which is generated by I think this one. Yes. Yeah, that works. So a null pointer is just null pointer now. I should probably standard null pointer. But if it starts with WLR, then now the struct is put in front of there. I don't know, man. Sometimes Bosch is easy enough. For use C++, I have to compile it. It's also not that easy to make a custom command and everything. Oh, yeah. I also have that, actually. Not good. Let's see. Yeah, this is something that I compile. Yeah, well, in all other cases, it is a null pointer. So I don't even have to test it, really. That's just not test. Okay, I'll test it. Just look too stupid like this. Can I do this as else if, or is it if? What is Avika doing? Does that make sense? So, okay, now it's standard null pointer. Very good. And struct something. It could be kidding me, right? There's no compiling. Instant compile. Huh? What? What? Pretty sure I'm so much missing still. This is not possible. What about all the static functions that still have to be turned into? For example, this one. What is empty? That's why it works. Mm-hmm. Oh, right. Yeah. The main reason for needing the member functions instead of the static functions is that I don't want to make all my member variables public, but they are still public. That's why it just compiles. So if I make them private, we are gonna find that we can't access this stuff. For example. Except that we can, because it's top level. This should also never happen, of course, if it's a member function. Ugh. Okay, so who is calling this? Why would that ever be null? Top level. So it's less than 2. Break. This gives me that end -1. So that's just, if there's even one element left, then this works as well. So why not less than 1? We'll never be able to test this. Yeah, that returns a number of elements. So an empty list is a list that points to itself, which means that next points to list. And if that is the case, then we just continue here, and then count is still 0. So this really says that the number of elements less than 2 break. That would make sense if you treat it as the next top level. So one of the top levels is where we are, and then we go to the next one. So if you have only one, then there is no next one. That's where the 2 comes from, I think. But that means that this one should go to, let's say the current one is the one at the top, at the end of the list. And then this should go to the one at the top, but then the previous one. So the question is, what is this doing? The next top level. Server top levels previous. This is the list, so previous is the one at the end. That's how I converted it. This just gets top level at the end of the list, not the one before that. Still, well, if you get the one at the end of the list, and it is not possible if you have less than 2, then I guess that the current one is the one at the beginning of the list, aka next pointer, which is the first element, would be the same as the previous pointer. So we switch to the end of the list, and the current one is considered to be the beginning of the list, I suppose. But that means that then doing this should move the one that we just select to the beginning of the list. So this should move next top level to the beginning of the list. Or does it? Yeah. Move the top level to the front. Is that what I just said, or? It's the different front. Oh wait, I end up in the tinywl.cpp file. I have to stay in this file. But the comment is there, so yes, that's probably what it is doing then. Top level, focus top level. Move top level to the front. It's a race, but really the comment is about this. Remove it and then insert it at the front. So let's insert something at the front. Elm, yeah, list nexus elm. So okay. I think now I get it. So yes, this is the end of the list, the last one in the list. And then this one moves that to the beginning of the list. Find it, splice it. So to put before begin. Yep. You cannot use 1 and 2 if they refer to the same object. But you can use 3, for example. Yep, but this is what we do. But that's just one element. Transfer the element. Okay, so we're transferring the element that we found, which should be at the end, but okay, to the before the beginning. Now, which then means that now I've got why I was looking here. Oh no. Oh yeah, right. I was checking if top level was ever possible that top level's 0 here. And that is going to be then the thing that we pass, which would mean that this must be a valid iterator, not AND or something. And it is because of that. There are at least 2, so it's definitely going to point to a valid element. So this one is not a problem. And then we have here one more, and that says top level. No, that could be 0 if this returns 0. Why would it return 0? Top level add. No, it's totally returning 0 already. It is of course not going to be 0. Okay, that was it. So then now I can remove this. Now it's never null, so now I can make it a member function of top level. Probably public. Yeah, top level's a bit redundant now, because it's just referring to this top level, I think. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Well, doable. Hmm? No, I definitely forgot the declaration of the member function. But to compile it reminds me. I think another one. Too many arguments. Compiles again. Static. Okay, that is a top level thingy. Private. Therefore, still private. That was the last static one. Nothing more to do. Well, apart from the scene and where to delete me. Is the thing now not going to crash or something if I run it? Or what do you think? Two things. It's not crashing and it does not pop up a window. The worst of the two worlds. Nope. So it kind of feels like there's not enough registration going on here. Should be 11, I think. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Missing 2. Which one seems to be missing? We have XD shell, 5 cursors and 2 seeds. Oh, there should be way more than that. That was just for the server. Seems like there is a lot of initialization simply missing. Yeah. I think it would be wise if I just go for a walk now because of the pain in my muscles. I'll be back later.